I will kick off then. This is going to be recorded. I assume we will still record it, although we've gone into a different room, but we should work on the basis it's being recorded and will be available to view at the NBN Trust website. So we'll have all the AGM details there as they unfold, as it were. I think we've got all the trustees present. Might want to just go on to open your cameras if we do have the trustees present. I know that Roddy was having some difficulty joining, but Roddy does appear on my screen. So we should probably get the first slide up if we could. Please open University if you can.
Well, in a second.
I will give it just a minute because I suppose we're supposed to record any apologies received. As I say, I think we've got all the trustees here. So if Sarah or whoever is Giselle keeping the minutes, could just quickly note in the guests who the trustees present. We have the minutes of the previous meeting, last year's meeting, which is and has been available to view on the NBN website, nbn.org.uk. And if you look for the AGM 2020, the minutes, last year's minutes will be in there. I'm not aware that we've received any matters arising in relation to the minutes or any other matters arising. I've not been notified of any. So I think we can take the minutes as approved, please, Giselle or Sarah, whoever's holding the pen. I was just going to give a quick presentation, not too much detail. I mean, an annual report, a terrific annual report has been pulled together by Mandy and the team, and I'd encourage people to take a look at that. It's on the NBN website, annual report 2020. Mandy, I don't know if we're also putting up a link in one of the conference rooms. If you are with us, Mandy, I don't know if you're in this AGM.
Neil, Sarah's put a link to the reports in the chat of this this meeting. Okay.
I mean, I would encourage people to look at it because there's some really good stuff in there. I mean, basically, as I wrote in that report, it's very peculiar to be looking back to a pre-pandemic year, although that's exactly what the report is. And in fact, 2019-20 was a good year, I believe, for the Trust, and a successful year for consolidation, in particular, consolidating steps, not least stabilising, maintaining and enhancing, wherever possible, the Atlas, in relation to which I note from the report that there was an increase of 163 million downloads and 92% verification rate, which are pretty impressive figures, and there's some other figures in there that are worth just taking a look at. And in May 2019, the NBN Atlas Northern Ireland was launched, which is not an insignificant event to add to the suite of atlases which have been launched. Also, one bit I would pick out also was just that it's good to see, and we heard about some of this morning really in some of the presentations, the support for the next generation of those involved in environmental activities, particularly policing, for the Trust to support the upcoming generation of students studying environmental sciences, such as the 3 data science MSc students from Salford University for their final dissertation project. That's extremely encouraging to see, and that we can be, as a Trust, part and parcel of those initiatives. Also, in terms of consolidation and stability, there was the Esme Fairburn Foundation grant, 375,000, which is extremely important, in particular to provide the stability as we move from the prior strategic period up to 2020 into shaping the new one. In relation to which we'll hear about later in the conference, and a lot of work has been going into that with Joe and the team, the board as well, and input from really constructive and good input from a whole slew of stakeholders amongst the network, which is really encouraging. And finally, I'd just like to say thank you to the board for their support, Joe as the CEO, the staff who, like so many organisations, have done a fantastic job with the backdrop of sort of having to cope with coronavirus and put on things like the conference and just make sure that business continues. So I'd like to say thank you very much to the staff for doing that, because I think it's extremely important to recognise the people who make things tick over day to day, and also thanks to the diverse stakeholders within the network, the more than 200 members and the 54 new and repeat data set providers, without which the NBN Trust wouldn't have its core raison d'etre. As I say, have a look at the annual report. I encourage you to do so. The link is available. And the pre-pandemic year was a good one. And thank you for everybody's support on that. Was going to hand over now to Roddy to present the NBN Trust accounts. I know that Roddy was having some trouble. I don't know if Joe and Roddy, whether you resolved that, or whether Joe, you're stepping in on that.
Hopefully Roddy's going to be able to do it.
Okay. Roddy, are you? Yes. You're there. Good.
Yes,
welcome. Hello.
Indeed, I am here. Yes, and thank you to all those who have managed to overcome the issues that were preventing me from getting into this particular room all morning. We scraped in by the skin of our teeth at about 12:45, with the clock ticking, So I think it's been quite an interesting morning. Yes, the finances. In many respects, what I have to say about the finances this year is similar to that which I said about the finances last year, and indeed about what I said about the finances the year before. If you have a look at them, and they too are available in the links that Neil was referring to just a second ago, you'll see that our balance, it looks quite comfortable, as indeed it did last year as well. So they do indeed appear to be reassuringly healthy. This is fundamentally because of the resources that we are getting from the HLF and Esme Fairburn in terms of grants at the moment, and so broadly speaking, these funds are committed. They're not, they will get used, and therefore, looking to the future, as I've said in previous years, pretty significant challenges are still sitting in front of us, because most of our core resources do come from a variety of directions, but from the public purse as opposed to from private or charitable sources, and it doesn't take a lot of knowledge of what's going on in the country to recognize that public finances do not look as if they're in a particularly strong position. And the recent interesting year that we've had with the pandemic has certainly weakened rather than strengthened the finances somewhat more. So the risks around that dependency certainly have increased rather than decreased. And we, of course, as a board, are exploring ways in which we can further diversify our funding in the future. It's interesting to note, though, that our various funders, including and perhaps and perhaps particularly the ESME Fairbairn and the HLF side of things, have shown great flexibility and indeed additional generosity in this year, with that direct aim of enabling, a sensitive and sensible response, to the various challenges that we've had this year. And I would just like to express at this meeting, our gratitude, for that flexibility and generosity, because it has made a difficult year that much easier, having that recognition, that things in some circumstances simply couldn't happen as they had been planned, and that having that ready flexibility has of course been, quite helpful. But that's really something for next year's accounts rather than this year's. With this year's accounts, I can just reiterate that they do show a good financial performance, and I commend them to you.
Thank you, Roddy. Joe or Mandy or anyone, or Sarah, if there are, I can't see chat box, so if there are questions coming up, you'll have to shout, please.
No questions. This is Sarah. There's no questions at the moment in the chat box.
Okay.
And no questions on Google Docs either.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Roddy. So next we go on to the resolution, which is to reappoint Roger Spencer as accountants for the financial year 2021. If we could have the resolution up on screen, in front of you. The votes, what was organised, this is the only vote we needed. The team very helpfully went out, I think 3 times to members to get votes. We have had them counted. There were 45 votes returned, in favour 33, and 12 appointing myself as chair to vote, and I would vote in favour as well. And we received no votes against or any abstentions. Individuals voting 9, organisations voting 36. On that basis, the resolution is passed. And I think on that, it just open up for any questions. Fairly brief AGM. If there are any questions, anything come into chat box or Google Box?
Not yet. No questions.
Good.
No.
Okay.
We can yeah, no one's putting anything.
Well, on that basis, it's just gone 1 o'clock. Just run over a bit. Still can't see any questions coming in.
Sorry, Neil.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's Sarah. Just a quick question coming from Adam Rowe. Just asking if all the committee members are standing again.
Yes, they are.
They said, if I may, Neil, come in on this.
Yeah, go on, Joe.
The trustees are on 3-year terms, so they're not. They don't need to be voted on every year, and we don't have anybody that's come to the end of their term this year, so we haven't got that to vote on this time.
And we are very aware of the need to look at the trustee roles as those timeframes come about. So we will definitely be keeping an eye on the need to make sure there's adequate preparation for changes of trustees. Thank you.
You could mention, Neil, that we're going to be advertising for some new trustees soon, if anybody's interested.
So, well, yes, I mean, Helen stepped down because of taking up another role at National NRW. We will be going out for that role, and another role on the basis of expectation that someone will be reaching the end of their period next year. So we will be, the timing hasn't quite been settled. We'd like to go out fairly soon to advertise for new roles. We're just working through that with the board. So as Joe says, if there are people who are interested in the trusteeship or feel that there should be, there are any individuals who are worth approaching, do let us know. We haven't settled the sort of going out to advertise that yet, but we would hope to be fairly soon. If not this year, it's only early in the new year. Thank you for that question. Any others we got?
No other questions, Neil. No.
Okay. Well, thank you for those who have attended for that whistle-stop tour of the business for the last year. And I think we're back in the main conference hall at 1:25 for the keynote speaker, which should be good. So thank you very much, everyone. And I think we'll thank you to attendees, thank you to the trustees, and I think we'll close the meeting.